Good morning to you, my friends, wherever you may be in the world today. Alan Clements here from beloved Ubud, Bali. I think today is June 10th. I lose track. 2022, planet Earth, somewhere in the galaxy. Today's sharing on my live stream and my podcast as I see it, a topic dear to my heart, quite virginal, and it's rooted in how easy it is to negate, neglect, dismiss the virtue, the beauty of the miracle, both reality and metaphorical, the splendidness of the spontaneity of the unexpected, with the radiance of magnificence and wonderment and high rapturous trans-epiphanictic musicality, like a baby being born, conception. And it brings up the issue which has been very intimate to my own heart, my biological heart, my metaphorical heart, the heart of the cosmos, to the extent that I'm intimate with it, is the concept that I'm playing with over the last 2 years of rebirthing. And I would call it the mindful navigation of process, rebirthing, not so much lifetime to lifetime alone, but the art, if you will, of engaging the moment, the miracle of the moment, when conception here and now takes place, with the phenomenology of mind and body and biology in the context of the spiritual, the psychological, the nuministic, the environmental, the trans-superstring, this context that we're in, the conception of life meeting life, and the coevolution of that edge, I would call rebirthing, beyond the meditative edge of just being present. That's so 2 days ago. It's so myopic for me personally. And the more that I have experimented with wonderment and imagination as a transformational vehicle, coupled with my own organic experimentation with the psychedelic, being on the island of Maui over the last year, and in a way taking the blinkers off of the conditions of my own spirituality, my own Dharma. And at night there, if you know, on the island of Maui, not just Maui, and you can just look up at the sky and see the magnificence of this incredible context that we're in. I mean, yes, there's a lot of projection that goes into infinity. And there you are on this island in the middle of the Pacific, and it's so bright at night to see the vastness. And my friend, my new friend, Jeff Koons, this preeminent world-class astrophysicist, he and I spoke on my special podcast series, Special Guests, and here he and his team of people are developing the means to look into the cosmos by sending vehicles, if you will, to outer space to look for life, coexistence. And my friend Leslie Kean, the New York Times best-selling author of many books, but specifically her book on the most investigative journalistic account, if you will, of the phenomena of UFOs, the coexistence of the possibility of other life forms in this context that we have yet to meet, but that are meeting us in a certain way, the unidentified aerial object, if you will. And here we sit today on planet Earth in the midst of a pandemic that has, in ways, deliberately in times, orchestrated at other times, who knows how it's happened, but it's so pulverized the wonderment and the innocence and the child and the miracle and the beauty of life in the moment. so many good people have collapsed into the conditioning of their fear, of terror. Yes, 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 you can humanize that. You could easily call it out as the war that we're within. But equally, in moments, and I speak about my own process today, I don't proclaim this to be some type of, way of living only, but it's my hope to conceive, to rebirth, and to keep alive, if you will, the power and the beauty of the miracle. Okay, that's my opening little riff rant. Rebirthing as a yoga, a Dharma art. It's a type of how I use it in my life. Yes, as it's been said, we're all going to die, but we don't know when. Jump a little bit to my humble investigation of the teachings of the Buddha. And in some ways, it could be said that the essence of those teachings, as I understand them, is that the Dhamma or the Dharma, it's the point of it is to remove internally generated suffering from consciousness, which is an amazingly beautiful concept if we let that in. And equal to that, when the Buddha was asked, at least in these texts as I read them, what does enlightenment point to in your own mind? And he said it removes dukkha, suffering, and equally it would be understood as removing aging from being, dis-ease from disease, and death from birth. Not immortality, but death from birth. Now think of that. Think of the power of that statement, the beauty of that statement. And to me, it invites, if you will, the Galileo in me, as Einstein called this gentleman who lived in the 15th and 16th century, the father of modern science, the father of astronomy, the father of physics, the birthing of imagination and hypercontext, the search for life, the metaphor of the telescope, to look through something, a lens that's so refined, the earliest psychedelic, the telescope, the wisdom of that lens, to see the unseen. That to me is the miracle of conception. How does birth take place? In birth, not just into life, but the miracle of a rebirthing, a reconceiving, a re-miraculizing, if you will, of this union of so-called necessary components for life to give life to life to give life, to rebirthing into the coevolution of life giving life, and to take this context of evil and madness and struggle and complexity. And yes, we live in this context, but at the same time, shift the focus, if you will, from the madness to the miracle, right? You're there with me, right? Shifting our mindfulness from the madness to the miracle and making the madness diminish for that moment of conception, of rebirthing, and of conscious co-creative evolution, the Galileo in us, looking through the telescope of transformational possibility, taking the death out of the phenomena of being, according to the teachings of the Buddha. How can that be done in the moment? And so I'm going to leave it at that today and just to drop in over the course of the next several days when I'm feeling a little bit stronger about the next iteration of this rave on how to to take this notion of the miracle. And I really want to empower this notion of the miracle, that we can each play in it, not so much as a phantasmagorical projection into the future, but we all want to conceive new formations of shared being. We all want to give life to our parental transformational beauty. We all love children. We all love the metaphor, the attributes of the child: birth, freshness, innocence, possibility, magic, nurturing, all the things that come from wanting to be a parent, and that we are children of existing parents. We all live in this incredible, infinite legacy of existence. That's not just humankind or humanity, but being a part of everything. And isn't that the Dharma? Isn't that the Dhamma? Isn't that the miracle of life, to belong in our own humble way to everything, in all ways, every day, all the time? And isn't that the kind of verbiage of enlightening into the miracle of life and taking the madness and saying, yes, I hear you, but I refuse to participate in that right now? Conception. Love making, Dharma making, art making, so many ways to talk about the union of intimacy, sexuality, eroticism, romance, anarchy, beauty, the beautification of this existence, this gift, this miracle of life that's fraught with the madness of genocide and rape and domination and patriarchy and murder in all the various ways. One girl being raped is one too many. We know that. And so we're all crying out, we're looking, we're screaming, we're hymning, we're singing, we're dancing, we're being on the stage of our own theatrical vulnerability. We're acting out, we're acting in unison, we're acting in consort. We're trying to give birth, conceive, if you will, to a new child of living in coexisting, creative, coevolutional peace. Why is peace so hard, right? Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, Mr. Zelensky, Mr. Biden, Mr. Trudeau, all of you men out there. I was recently introduced not so much to the masculine and the feminine, but that the innate existence in the fabric of being is the divine feminine. The womb of totality? Yes. Yes, I'm there. And within it there's diversity. But the Galileo in me, that telescopic place in me that wants to study the physics, the fertility, the inertia, the free fall, the gravity, the intimacy, the hormonal wisdom of conception, the birth of new. Take an addict and the birth of a new way of being. That individual would cry, give anything to overcome the need for the nicotine, the need for the cocaine, the need for the fentanyl. Go to some place where addiction to these aberrant, toxic drugs are so prevalent. Go to the downtown east side of Vancouver, not to vilify it, not only to feel sorry for these people, but to co-mix and learn and give back and to feel bad drugs in conditioned circumstances lead to this type of tragedy. What could we introduce into the context of there and here simultaneously, but the radiance of conception, a new vision of possibility? Right now in this pandemic, we are all looking, crying out for a new vision of hope. To me, I have found it in the concept of rebirthing because it's taking the fear out of dying. And dying isn't such a bad deal because we're conceiving in that process of a rebirthing. And I promise to close here. You know, on Maui and here in Bali again, and also in Vancouver and all LA and everywhere on planet everywhere, if you look up at night and you can imagine through wherever you're looking that we are embedded in this infinity, this miracle of infinity. And the psychedelic has illuminated that I am in context, as meditation has, with deities, with angels. I wrote this book tonight. I met a deva, an angel of love. It's coming out soon, June 15th, dedicated to my daughter and to the children of the world and to the about to be born everywhere. But we live in a coexisting frequency of different embodied entities, beings, angels, figures of complexity. I don't want to call them satanic, cyborgians as humans. Everyone, I do believe, has the genome of rebirthing, the miracle, the phenomenology of wonderment, the innocence, the child, the lover that wants to conceive with their goodness as vocation of existence. And then if you couple goodness with wonderment and purity and adventure, rebirthing to me implies radical, mystical adventure. Learning the high art, no matter how big the waves are on the storm of existence. I'm not a sailor, but I know I can imagine being on that boat. Planet Earth is a boat, right? State the obvious cliche. And yes, I've got a determination, I've got a navigation, I've got a destination, I've got a vision. I want a new land, and I'm crossing the sea of complexity to arrive. Not just here and now alone, but to arrive in an area of existence that's so sacred that we've removed the suffering from the tapestry of being. How nice it would be to bring in a child to a world where there is no fucking pain, no starvation, no rape, no nuclear wars, no justified homicide, no drones that kill from a distance and anesthetize billionaires that pull triggers on others through stock options and manipulations, and toxic biological weapons being distributed through needles. I can imagine that. And my hope is for the child being born right now that you and I, girls and boys around the world, make music, make hymns, make theater, make the best creations of love making in the bodies that we share together through consent. We bring in children, we bring in life to a new world based on our empowerment of rebirthing. So I propose today, make rebirthing a new form of Dharma, a new yoga, a new asana, a new vocation, a new politic, a new activism, a new music, and create one's own unique conception of rebirthing to co-evolve a new world that, yes, for a while will coexist with madness, but let's keep alive and do our part with the miracle. So from my heart to yours. And finally, we have a retreat here in Bali, God willing, at a beautiful Buddhist temple, July 25th through the 31st. If you're interested, please message me and I'll give you details. It's also on Facebook and Instagram and other places. And from my heart to yours, have a beautiful day. Thank you for being in my life, and see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I may up this until 8 in the morning where there isn't so much background noise, where I can stay just a little bit more focused. So it may be 8 tomorrow morning from Bali. Thank you.